Welcome to the Power of Percussion Podcast out of Louisville, Kentucky. My name's Kay Michelle Lewis, and I will be your host today. Our next guest is Jeff Holland from South Carolina. Hey, Jeff, how are you doing?
Hey, Michelle, doing wonderful.
Awesome. I'm so glad that you're with us today. You've been doing some amazing things out there, and I'm looking forward to hearing all about them. First, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing these days?
Absolutely. And my tag is Jeff at Drum for Work. You can find us at drumforwork.com. And the first thing we started this year, consolidating 4 of our businesses into a more consolidated focus with Drum for Work. So we have all of our percussion programs that started with my passion for drumming and sharing my love of rhythm with people. And we moved into school programs, artist in residence, and corporate motivational programs, and all kinds of community events. And then that spawned our nonprofit, Our World Festival, about giving back and providing drum circles for the communities. And then that went into festivals and retreats. And I've always taught percussion and played professionally my whole life. And that inspired the Drum 234 studios. Last but not least, our 4th platform was what my true love is, the Sonic Energy Tour. And these are our mindful music meditations that we've been sharing and retreats and programs, particularly through our church network, and we found a lot of wellness and mindfulness within these programs that we can share now online.
That is awesome. Wow. So how long have you been doing Drum for Work? Like when did this start?
They say that I started playing or was attracted to drums at 2 years old. And I got my first drum set at 5 and never looked back. I've been buying drums and percussion ever since.
Wow.
Drum for Work started in around 1999. I think officially our time was 2000. So we've been going at it 20 years.
Oh gosh, whoa, that is awesome. So you said that you started Drum for Work at 2, and then 5 you got your first drum set. So what happened in between there? Like, did you go to college for percussion, or did you what happened in between that time?
I did. That first drum set I got at 5 lasted a few months until I played it to splinters. And my mother, who played piano, said, no more drums in the house. And I made a deal at 10 years old that if I bought my first drum kit, that they would provide me with lessons, because if I was going to get this instrument they didn't like listening to, then I would at least learn to play it well. And so I took them up on it. I actually worked and painted and cut grass and things like that in the neighborhood until I bought the drum set. And they provided me with lessons, but very specific lessons. And when I wanted to branch out, I started paying for my own lessons too, to learn the types of music. Like, they wouldn't let me listen to rock and roll. So I was taking lessons from a rock drummer, and I had to buy my own lessons. But I continued into high school, and I went to a fine arts center that was specialty for classical percussion and music theory. And that was kind of like my first 2 years of college. So I went into my freshman year of college almost as a junior. And
wow.
After a couple of years at that college, I started bouncing around, just auditing programs and taking from the special artist in residence that I wanted to study with. And what would happen is they would tell me, all right, I've been learning how to make mbira, the thumb pianos from Zimbabwe. And eventually the teacher would say, all right, if you really want to understand how these instruments are used, you need to come home. So many times I would organize the first travel with my teacher's family and stay with them. They would introduce me to other teachers and other schools. And I would always kind of branch out of an area. So when people would go on specific courses to study, many of my courses around the world were 1 month to even 3 months worth of travel studying about those instruments.
Wow, that is amazing. So what is your favorite, I know this is going to be tough, but what is your favorite, like, is there an instrument in percussion that you're drawn to more than, say, other ones?
I can definitely relate to the handpan. It's the instrument that combines a lot of techniques. I've always kind of played around with frame drums, have been my favorites, and the finger style for frame drums or tabla translates really well to the handpan. And it's a soft instrument that is usually the first thing I play in the morning, the last thing I play before bed, and just kind of keeps my vibe smooth all throughout the day.
I love that instrument too. They're hard to get a hold of and expensive, but they are beautiful sounding instruments. Beautiful.
They sure are. We just started working with a company called Saraz a couple of years ago, and I've known them for 10 years as they were developing their instruments, and I really feel like they're making some of the best in the world now. And we just purchased a couple of their stainless steel models. And if you're familiar with the traditional sound of the handpans made out of nitrided steel, which are most companies, the stainless steel adds so much more meditative qualities. The sustain lasts longer. It's about 3 to 4 times the length of sustain. And you can always muffle the notes to stop the sustain, but having those beautiful chords running in the background while you're playing a rhythm underneath, that's just really my favorite instrument right now.
It is. Oh, yeah. I mean, just talking about it is making me want to just go buy one. Can you tell everybody the name of that company again and like how to spell it? So if they wanted to go get a handpan, they could check it out.
Absolutely. It's Saraz is spelled Saraz, and I have an affiliate link if people would like to send me an email at info@drumforwork.com. And by the way, my company is Drum for Work is DRUM, the number 4 WORK. It's who we are and what we do, and we love to share our rhythm with you. Awesome. But I can send them the affiliate link.
That's great. Thank you so much. All right. So why are you so passionate about percussion? I mean, it's almost as if you were born to do this. But why, which you clearly are born to do this. Why are you so passionate about this particular instrument?
I love the way that, first and foremost, that it makes me feel. When you're playing just about any musical instrument, you become part of that instrument. You learn how to make the voice within the instrument, and then you use the instrument as your voice and speak through it. That's your ultimate goal, to be able to relate as an artist to your audience. And when I started on this path of percussion, I think it was the way that percussion made me feel. I remember one of the first instances of feeling the boom from a bass drum that a drummer was playing in church, and I had already had the attraction, but I think it was the vibration, and we've kind of taken that path toward vibrational wellness. We know that every cell vibrates. We know that on an atomic level, things move in rhythm, and so when we're talking about that biomolecular level of vibrational wellness or unwellness. They say that when the body is in pain or has an issue, a health issue, that it can be picked up long before even our modern science instruments. It can be picked up by slight changes in the vibrational waves that it's putting off. So I really believe selecting the right instruments at the right time and used in the right place in the right way can produce vibrational wellness. And they can also inspire and motivate and even be used toward healing, being able to produce some personal healing.
Yeah, and have you had those experiences with people that you work with? Like it sounds like you've had those experiences, but have you witnessed that in people that come to your workshops and people that you teach?
All the time. I mean, from the drumming programs that we do with at-risk youth to you see the light come on in their eyes to the active seniors that weren't so active before we started to drum with them. Placing a tuning fork on someone's body for the very first time and them feeling the vibration go to that place in the body they need healing. And just seeing not only the light in their eyes, but their whole body lifts. And you see the excitement and a lot of people just don't understand the power of vibration and the power of rhythm. But once they experience it, you see it first in kind of a physical change of, they're maybe not into it, and then all of a sudden they get into it a little bit more, and you can see a mental process that starts to change and alter. You can usually tell that when you see the smile start to form, or their shoulders lift a little bit, and then I really believe there's a spiritual change that goes on sometimes. It may not be the same for everyone, but the percentage is pretty high for people that actually have spiritual enlightenment that comes through the drums. And it's that idea of the euphoric feeling, or the focus that I was talking about of when you're playing music, everything else just kind of becomes a blurred part of the world, and your focus is on what's happening with that sound in the moment.
Yeah, it's really pretty amazing, the vibrations, what impact they have. And, I've seen the same things as you're describing in people in different workshops and events and drum circles. The people that come to your events, do they have to know anything about percussion to experience what you're talking about?
We say no experience necessary, because we branch out into a lot of other instruments like Native American flute, ukulele. A lot of our percussion is melodic. I study a lot of mallet percussion, and I love the vibraphone. It's such a pleasing sound. Before I got into the world of handpan, that was my question. Why do I want to limit myself to a few notes on a handpan when I have a 3-octave vibraphone that provides the same healing? But I think it's understanding that there is power there that we're just learning to understand, the healing power of sound. And as far as percussion, I'm learning that some people like different textures. Some people are inspired by the same textures that maybe make others cringe. I don't know anybody that really likes fingernails scraping on a chalkboard, but there are textural sounds that a lot of our shaker sounds, our juju seed pods, for instance, are a really loud nutshell shaker, and some people don't like the feel of that at first, but then they realize that it's completely cleared their mind. And you can take that and compare to an ocean drum, which is really the same volume, particularly when you're in close proximity to the ocean drum. And even at that same volume, I've never heard anybody say that the ocean drum was too loud, that the sea drum, the sound of the waves was too much for them.
Right.
So I think some of it is our perception of sound, what people perceive before they actually hear it played. Growing up playing in rock bands, the classic story was, you start to carry all these big speakers into a venue, and before you're even set up, the owner comes over and says, "Hey, you guys are going to have to keep the volume down." And then not realizing that we're actually playing jazz. We just had the big speakers for clarity. And so there's a misconception sometimes that people think, "Oh, I wouldn't go to a drum circle because it's just going to be so loud."
Yeah.
But we have upgraded a lot of our instruments. For instance, with our endorsement company, Meinl, the Viva Rhythm line offers a loud and a soft version. Their boom heads are really bright and cut through, but there's still about maybe 75% of the volume of a traditional drum. So they keep the volume subdued a little bit, and for the groups, that's great. And then their soft sound heads, particularly used with hands, are super, super soft. When we work with students on the spectrum or people on the spectrum, a lot of the times they're sensitive to sound. So we make
those are nice
instrument
for that.
selections.
Yeah, they're nice for that. So while we're talking about the healing aspects of drumming and spirituality connection, how has this pandemic affected your business? Like, are you still doing like different drum workshops and things like that?
My first response is, what business? It seems like everything came to a halt. And we spent the first couple of weeks, my wife has an issue that we quarantined early on. And I did my last few school programs. And by the time the Monday morning came, we lost 6 months worth of some work. All of our school work canceled, all of our corporate work canceled. Everything that we do is about sensory perception within a group or even within the private lessons. At first we panicked, and then we decided, looks like we get an extended vacation. And then we thought after a little bit of time that there's going to be a new expectation. We have to start working on protocols to make sure. We've always sterilized our instruments because of some of the hospital populations and senior centers that we worked in. But there's going to be a new level of expectation for people to touch anything. And we started to research, what can we do to go online? I've been archiving videos, or I've had a YouTube channel since 2004, 2007. I can't remember. Early, 12, 14, 13 years at least. And every once in a while I would put a video up just of something that I was working on or something out of curiosity. But as we moved our lessons online, I started archiving unlisted videos. Obviously, I've spent my whole life and thousands of dollars with teachers and trainings and things to develop my craft, and that's what I make my living sharing. And that's the services that I get paid for.
Right. And
we really don't have products outside of that. I mean, I'll sell the occasional CD or DVD, but we're a service-based company, and all four of our businesses were like that. So moving online has proved to be a challenge, but at the same time, we took a step back and we wanted to do it right. We wanted to get our audio right. We wanted to get the video the best that we could, or the best that we can afford. And it would be great to be able to go into a production studio and do this all the time, but we didn't have that option. So what could we do at home? And we used the time to keep up with our students, and a lot of our clients have been doing interactive Zoom sessions and all kinds of live streaming. We're just, as of yesterday, I feel like we got the level of audio in our home at a decent level that I feel like we can share live.
Awesome.
And I had some fun doing a Earth Day nature sound video, and I'm excited. This coming Monday really kicks off so many of our programs that we've been just waiting. We've got the content. We're excited to be able to share it, but we had to figure out, how can we share it in a quality way? How can we keep our quality there?
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm glad things are going well and you're creating some new content and ways to get this out to people, because I know, they probably still want it. They probably still want to connect with others and still want to drum.
They do.
And, yeah. Well, that's awesome. So you said it kicks off this coming Monday?
Sure. We have our the Viva Rhythm Community World Family Packs are one of the things that we're introducing Monday. And actually, we've already started that. We have a porch pickup or porch delivery program to get drums into people's homes, maybe that don't have access to musical instruments. We're offering for more than just drums, but we had a lot of drums that we've been replacing, and some that have just minor use and wear. So we took some time and cleaned them up, and everything's completely sterilized, and it's been quarantined for plenty of time now. It's time to get them into homes.
Yeah.
And we're starting our Mindful Mondays again. I'm recording a lot of videos this weekend.
Oh, good. I cannot wait. That's awesome.
Yeah. And Lucas Kofi and I just worked on today something that's launching Monday. We didn't really pick Monday for everything. It just seems to be what it's rolling into. So we'll have some live streams coming out Monday, and all kinds of. We're working on our schedule to figure out how we can fit all of this in. We're going to be drumming 24/7. It looks like, just to keep the content rolling out.
So when you're going to live stream, is this on YouTube Live or is it on Facebook Live? Where are you live streaming at?
We're going back to Facebook Live. We tried YouTube. I've been trying Twitch and all kind of other streaming platforms using the Open Broadcaster software and this Be Live. Anyway, we realized that maybe we were just trying to get too complicated, too fast, and the technology's just not really there. We're finding ways that we can use Facebook Live and just select particular instruments that sound good on it, omit some for certain programs, and a lot of our school programs are what we're trying to figure out. There's been I don't want to say phobia, but I think the districts realized that maybe the security wasn't as high for Zoom and some of the other platforms as Google Hangouts. But using the Google system is proving to be a little more difficult. The latency and the lag time.
Yeah, it's not as good.
No, it's a lot harder. So we know that the security updates are coming down the line for Zoom, and every other day or so it seems like it wants you to update again. So we're hoping that some of our school districts come on board with that, and we're able to keep the platforms that we're comfortable. So our process will run something like a recorded video that's unlisted, but we share that with the classroom or with the client. Could be a private lesson, could be we're trying to archive enough to where we can serve all the needs that we've been working in different populations. And so we'll send the video first, and then we'll schedule a conference call, preferably a video conference call. And that's where we usually lead an interactive portion. And at some point, like with my private lessons, they're videoing themselves playing. They send it back, and I actually do a little commentary app. Or we've been doing a cappella with some of my students, which is an app where we can each put a place in the screen. And anyway, there's all these collaborative projects, and then we want to open it up to live. So we'll be live streaming some of the clips from the first two events, and then opening it up for chat and direct conversations.
Awesome. That sounds really cool. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that all of these things are coming about for you, because I know there are people out there that still want to connect and communicate and collaborate. But yeah, I know finding the right platform to do it on is it's a struggle.
Well, that's what this call is about. We've been watching and appreciating your work, and trying to figure out how can we collaborate together, and let's just do something to offer as a resource to our world.
Yeah, that's important, especially now, because people are, I'll be honest, I've got a autoimmune, thing happening, and I don't have a full immune system, so I can't, I have not been out in over a month, not been to a store, anything like this. Walked in my neighborhood, ridden my bike, but so people do want to connect, even if you don't feel like they do. They really do, and it's important for everybody to connect and collaborate right now, because we are isolated. So
I saw a lot of that with our drum circle community were some of the first ones to really put it out there of, hey, what are we going to do? Everything is falling apart. We just want to see each other.
Right,
and
yeah.
Since then, it's formed relationships around the world, and all these multi-country collaboration projects that have come together. I really think it's benefiting us in a way, because it's pushed us just enough out of our comfort zone to where we're having to really evaluate what we're doing and how we can reinvent that in a way.
Absolutely. I agree totally. So when, you've got all kinds, I've seen part of your collection of drums over there at Drum for Work, but I know you've got a bunch, and you have probably a bunch of favorites. What are your top 3 favorite drums that you have?
I have to include djembe. I mean, that's just one of our main tools of the trade because of the range. And another instrument that I pick up in the world of frame drums, that's really hard to narrow down. But I have, I guess, if I had to pick one, it would be Rick, which is a tambourine from the Arabic language or Arabic style. And I would probably have to put cajon in the mix. I mean, those are 3 things that I play almost every day besides the handpan.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, I would have guessed you would have said the handpan, but no. But so if there was a 4th, it would be the handpan.
Well, the handpan was first, and
Okay.
I was adding on to that from our previous conversation.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I was like, that handpan has got to be in there on the favorites.
I mean, if I actually put the order of instruments that I play in the day, it usually starts with a tuning fork, a C sharp to my chest plate, and just feel those vibrations as I take my first morning breath, and yoga, just to feel like I can't get going these days without some stretching. So that opens my body up. And then usually an energy chime, and then comes the handpan. So those are usually the first 3 things I play every morning.
Very cool. Yeah, so if you were to, say somebody was looking to get into like community drumming, what type of instrument would you recommend as a kind of like a first instrument for somebody if they wanted to purchase one?
That's where I thought we were going. So yeah, the djembe is that idea of community drumming. It has the extended range and the different sizes from 8 to 18 inches, but the 10 or 12 inch is a great way to start. With our grade school, we'll use 8 to 10 inch drums for K through second, and usually starting about 3rd grade, we move up to the 10 to 12 inch djembes, and then above that, we can do a mix of the instruments. But those are just great instruments to start. The Viva Rhythms that I mentioned earlier, they've got djembes that start in an 8-inch range around $50 or so very affordable. There's even some smaller ones that are half that much. You can get one starting $25, I think.
Oh, that's great.
And that's part of what we're trying to inspire people to do with the programs is, because they're so affordable. A lot of people think, or they've heard somewhere that, musical instruments are so expensive. We never get one of those just to keep around the house. And then when they realize that for the price of a lunch that they could actually get an instrument that lasts forever in their home,
right.
It kind of changes that perspective a little bit. So highly recommend a djembe for somebody starting out for the first time. And it's just a really versatile instrument.
Very cool. And it seems like, too, over time that these instruments have gotten less expensive.
Yes.
I remember when I was a kid, these things were hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and almost, you'd have to have a couple of jobs to be able to afford one. And now they're less and less, which is really good. It's really good because more people, it's more accessible.
It's more accessible, more affordable for everyone.
Yeah. So you've worked with lots of people over these years at Drum for Work. Tell me about, a memorable time that you had with, either a group, a school that you worked with, or a community event that you did. What's one of the most memorable events? I mean, you've had so many, but...
This is where I'm going to say all of them again.
Right.
That so many I can't remember. We've had some amazing corporate events, but the ones that really touched my heart, we had a triple gig day. We were actually supposed to do that again this month, and we start off in the morning with Kids Fest, and we have kids rotating through jamming with us for 10 to 15 minutes at a time, and then the next wave comes through, and we do that for a couple of hours. Then we race to a Camp Sunburst, which was a grief camp, and so you're going from the happy families that are just out for a day in the park or a structured kids event, and then all of a sudden you're going into an event where people have lost a loved one recently, and some are not dealing with it well, and we went through levels of playing their frustrations out on the drums, and then actually we went through smaller group sessions first, and then brought everyone together for a celebratory drum circle at their dinner time. And it's hard to leave that. And if that wasn't enough, going from there into a steel pan and ukulele gig that is bookending that celebration. There's not many people. Ukulele has really caught on a lot these days, but there's really not many people in our area that play steel pan. I can think of literally one or two others, and so having that kind of triple experience through the day would have to put that day pretty high in the books.
Yeah. Well, I can feel your passion about all of this through this call, and let me tell you. Wow. Yeah, you can feel it all the way through here. So I want to ask you about this. Did you ever think, because you've mentioned things throughout this interview, did you ever think you'd be helping another person by way of drumming? Like this simple activity. Did you ever think, like when you started this drumming path, did you ever, think you'd be helping somebody else?
Yeah, the realization came when I remember being on stage, particularly. I think I started realizing it more when I was playing with a jam band. I had been on the road with a smooth jazz band and played with them for a decade, and big gigs with them, but the audiences didn't have the same feeling. We would play to these big jazz festivals of 15, 20,000 people in the audience, and I never really noticed this, but when I started playing on the jam band circuit and doing these outdoor festivals, I would see this pulse through the audience, and we also got to take extended drum breaks, like the Grateful Dead did, and Widespread Panic, and those bands that would let the drummers go, and everybody would just leave the stage for sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 50 minutes. And it seemed like that gave me a chance to see how the drumming energy affected people. And taking that idea of if I sped the rhythm up, they danced faster. If I slowed the rhythm down, they concentrated more. If we played certain frequencies, we kind of got the ooh and ah moments. And developing programs around that helped me create this finite approach into now working with sound healing. I'm able to kind of dial in where obviously we have to have the guided source of the person. That feels good, that's too much, things like that. But on an individual level, helping people with lessons, achieve something that they never imagined they could do before they came in. Being able to see those life-changing moments of feeling a singing bowl for the first time. A lot of the times people are amazed that they've seen singing bowls, but when you bring it out into an audience and see the look on a child's face when they touch the side of it and realize that's where the sound is coming from.
Yeah.
Those are the moments that really were life-changing for some people. And who knows how long that those resonant waves, keep widening. We hear from students that, I guess, back in the days when we used to be able to go to Home Depot or the grocery store, I remember hearing "Funga, Mr. Holland," or they would call out something or say something from one of our classes, and it just knows that if they associate me with that thing that they remembered for 10 years, then we did make an impact. We did touch them in some positive way.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. So what ages? You have 4 different parts to your company, Drum for Work. What ages do you work with?
The full range. We say kids of all ages, and so we've actually done programs for prenatal, drumming in the womb, and I think 107. I think she was 107.
Wow.
Is the oldest that we've drummed with. And everybody in between. I mean, I love working in elementary schools just because of the there's no barriers there. There's no preconceptions or prerequisite. The kids just don't think.
No fear. They have no fear.
They just go for it.
And they have high energy. They're fun.
And I can cover 10 times the amount of material with a classroom of 4th graders than I can a group of 40 corporate executives who are just happy to play the same groove over and over and stop and start a little bit. But it's hard to pin a favorite group to work with, but Juvenile Justice has been one of my favorites for years because you're creating that chance for a change, and you're creating that transformation sometimes in ways that I didn't even expect. Sometimes it's not just the music, but maybe talking about travel or other cultures or future plans. And what the juvenile may take away from there is, I may not be a drummer, but that guy got to go to some cool places. And if I follow my dreams and my path, then maybe I can go to some of those places too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, if somebody is looking for your services, what types of workshops do you offer, and where can they find you?
Well, each of our 4 platforms are separated. There's a lot of overlap, but drumforwork.com has become our hub. I used to have a website for each of our platforms and multiple social media sites. But if you go to drumforwork.com, you'll kind of see the overview of what we do. That's one of my quarantine assignments, is I've been rebuilding our website. So bear with me. We went from a 4 huge polished production websites to just my little experiment. So as we build, but my YouTube page, Jeff Holland Sonic Artist, is going to be building a lot more. We're starting to upload more videos, and then our social media. We're pretty easy to find and get in touch with. Just Google Drum for Work, and it'll show you what we're currently working on. But the Sonic Energy Tour was something that we've been excited about offering in a lot of different ways. We're trying to figure out how we can travel better with these instruments, and now we're working on trying to figure out how can we get them to sound better online. Drum 2, 3, 4, our educational programs are really focused on being able to teach personally and in small groups. We take requests. So I've had a long list of people chiming in going, hey, we want to learn a little bit more about Kanjira. Hey, can you tell us about how to play friction gongs? What do you know about singing bowls? And then, our World Festival is where we're helping support artists on our roster. I spent yesterday with one of the world's, in my opinion, one of the world's greatest drummers, Bola Katakande. And Bola recorded a CD in West Africa. He recorded tracks, and when he came over the first time before the quarantine, he had over 500 tracks. And I said, Bola, this won't fit on a CD. And so let's pick a few of your favorites and what you think are best. And so it's been a few-week process working with him on narrowing down tracks, and now we have it narrowed down to at least or almost 2 CDs. I think we may have to cancel one more rhythm. but I'm helping him master it and mix the tracks. But let me tell you, getting to, I'm doing it as a service for him. I'm learning as I go, but getting to hear music from a village straight off a recorder, what's fresh, what's based on traditional music but played in a fresh way, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, that's so authentic.
So we're excited. That's what our World Festival is doing. We're sharing a lot of our cultural rhythms and trying to support our artist projects too, working on some belly dance tracks, our Arabic rhythm ensemble tracks, and a conversation online. My teacher Kobe in Israel offered, hey, I'm happy to send some tracks, and I'm thinking, he's so much better of a darbuka player, just a percussionist in general than me. So I hooked him up with our belly dance studio, and
nice.
Making these connections is what it's about. So our nonprofit is all about supporting the arts and being able to connect, and the taglines help make our world a better place to live, learn, work, and play well together.
Yeah. Oh, that is amazing. I love it. You're doing so many good things, Jeff. So many good things. And I am.
So are you, Michelle.
Man,
so are you.
I'm so grateful that you're sharing this with everybody because, all of these things make the world a better place. So thank you for what you do. I want to thank you for coming on the show today. Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Me.
You had a lot of great information to share, and I'm so grateful. Wow.
We're excited about the future, and I don't believe that, this pandemic can't be looked at as a punishment. It's got to be looked at as a way to produce, positivity. And the more that we have time to think about it, the better it's going to be.
I totally agree. It's making everyone compassionate, collaborative, communicating with people that we haven't talked to in years. I mean, people have connected that haven't been talking, and it's really there's a lot of silver linings within all these things that are happening today. So. Well, thank you so much for sharing your love of percussion and the power it possesses in your life, but also in the lives of the others that you've interacted with, Jeff. Wow. I just hope everybody out there just take a look at his stuff at drumforwork.com. And don't forget to share this podcast and follow us at #PowerOfPercussionPodcast. Thank you so much, Jeff, for being on the show today.
Thanks, Michelle. Keep your rhythms going.
Yeah, you too, my man.